Again. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nomadic Diaries. Today's episode is for the National Podcasters Promotion Month, and it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague and sometimes book mentor, Sarah Kobrus.
Hi, Doreen. Yes, Doreen was a doula, key doula for the publication of my first ever book.
So we're here to talk a little bit about the book and actually do an exercise from the book. I am going to be the guinea pig today, or the person who is actually very fortunate to have this experience with Sarah. And the name of Sarah's book is Good Grief, Transforming Loss into Hope and Resilience. And the reason that I believe that Sarah's book is so good for this community in Nomadic Diaries is that if we are truly nomadic, whether it's long-term or short-term, there is an experience of loss, whether we acknowledge it or not, and these losses build up over time. And so actually what Sarah is good at is being the doula of actually delivering healing and wholeness after the experience of loss. So, okay, take it away, Sarah. I know I've got my homework here in front of me, a little bit of homework. So just tell us a little bit about emotional logic, just a little, in a few sentences, and then lead me into the discussion, please.
Absolutely. By profession, I'm a social worker, a counsellor, and a mental health and wellbeing coach. And in my personal and professional, decades-long journey with grief and trauma, I came across emotional logic, and it's truly in all my 35 years of exploring this, really unique, because we are, as human beings, in our states of being, we are thinking, we are feeling, but our feelings are emotional and physiological, and we're spirit and soul beings. And emotional logic is a way to embrace pain, grief, trauma, loss in ways that helps you grow through grief. And what I love best about it as a social worker is it's a practical system of therapeutic coaching tools that anyone can learn and use anywhere, and you can share with others. So it's great for individuals, it's great for families, it's great for organizations, and it really does help you shift your state of being. And your state of being is your thinking, your behavior, and your feelings around the trickiest, most challenging emotions. So some of you, we're going to just focus on one aspect today, and it is more of a teaching because we're on an audio than I would if we were having a one-to-one session. I would be way more therapeutic about this. And I also just want to give you a bite-sized taste. And so one of the key tools is the stepping stones, the emotional logic stepping stones. And you may recognize them as stages of grief, but in emotional logic, they are not stages of grief. They are states of being. Remember, that's your thinking, your feelings, and your behavior. And there are 7 of them. And they each have a meaning and a useful purpose that when you know about this, it completely reframes how you feel about emotions like shock, anger, denial, guilt, and depression. And so I'm sorry, Doreen, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I have to fix that. Where and how do we start?
how we will start is you're going to just describe a little situation. I'd really encourage you to not go for a significant big trauma or grief. So a situation, and there's two things I want you to really remember as we're doing this, that emotions are all about energy.
Yeah.
And they are both and our feelings are both emotional and physiological.
Yes.
So that's the emotional part of emotional logic. It's our physiological and our feelings. The logic part is they all have a meaning and a useful purpose that, once known, means that we can absolutely regain our sense of control, and also there's always a clear way out of feeling stuck with these emotions, feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling in lots of whirlpools of emotion. Okay. So if you want to just describe your situation, and all we're going to do, just a reminder that motion, E is for energy
in motion.
Yeah, our emotions are meant to keep us in motion, so we get stuck,
and they're supposed to flow. So well, I didn't get stuck for too long on this, but I think there's still more thinking to be done. Recently, my husband and I were supposed to fly to Seattle, where he was going to have knee surgery, and the knee surgery was supposed to have happened 2 days ago. And we were supposed to be in Seattle for him to have the surgery, recover, spend time with our daughter during Thanksgiving, which is a very family-centered experience in the US, and then stay during his recovery to spend time with her over Christmas. So in 48 hours, it is Thanksgiving. And instead of being in Seattle, we are here in San Miguel de Allende because both of us got COVID for about 2 days, and his surgery was canceled. So this whole experience of losing time with family during a holiday is my example today.
So that's what we call a loss reaction. And I'm not going to go into too much technical detail. I'm going to keep this moving. So you know that you're having a loss reaction. So when you look at, Doreen has a sheet in front of her with the 7 stepping stones on. And this is audio.
Yes.
But emotional logic is very visual. So you're having a loss reaction. So right now, you look at that sheet, Doreen. I just want you to tick. And don't overthink it. Just tick which of those 7 stepping stones that resonates with you in that circumstance. Just really right now. Just and you can speak it out loud. So if it resonates, just say it quickly.
I think bargaining. It shows, and let me describe this for the listeners. In bargaining, what it does is it shows a person who is leaping in midair between two solid, it's like he's leaping from one piece of furniture to another. And it says on the paper, it says this means you need to do something to get back what you've lost. Bargaining is useful because it helps you to explore new ways to recover your loss and be brave. So talk to us about bargaining a little bit.
I absolutely will do. So the 7 stepping stones have cycles within them. Okay. So shock, denial, anger, and guilt are the stress cycle. Yeah. Bargaining, depression, and acceptance are the growth cycle. So you are identifying this. You are an incredibly resilient and positive person because you jumped straight into the growth cycle.
Well, it took me a while. I mean, it took me a few days.
Yeah.
I did allow myself some wallowing. I didn't just, I didn't just arrive here, but I did wallow for 2 days. And after my 48 hours, I said, okay, now we have to take action. So that's when the bargaining started.
So even that, within that, bargaining, I just want to read you the meaning and useful purpose of of bargaining, or maybe Doreen, you'd like to do that. Do you want to read out?
You mean
The,
what it says on the paper? This means you
yes.
need to do something to get back what you've lost. Bargaining is useful because it helps you to explore new ways to recover, number one, and it helps you to be brave, number two. And that's interesting because I noticed that when after I had done my wallowing and I had done a bit of grieving and I was ready to start letting go, I noticed I did feel a little braver. And but this is only on reflection. I noticed that I'm recording that.
Yeah, I mean, any grief or loss, however big or small, an important factor is time. And obviously, the bigger the grief or loss, the more time it's going to take to process. But bargaining, interestingly, most people who I do a very first emotional logic session with, they don't know what to do with bargaining because what's that got to do with emotions? But bargaining, it really is the pivot point, is the emotional pivot point, because bargaining is what goes on inside of you. Okay, it's the bargaining you do internally, and it's also the bargaining you do with other people. So so there's the two levels, and you're aiming for assertive, or what I prefer to call effective bargaining. Okay, and remember, this is going on internally and with others. So you've got passive bargaining, you've got assertive, effective bargaining, and you've got aggressive bargaining. Now, remember, it's all the energy, and it's energy. The other thing you haven't got on that card is the direction of the energy. Okay.
Well, now can I just reflect on that a little bit, Sarah? Because my daughter is involved in this, and I realized that there has been, for me, I felt like this little bit of a gulf or a little bit of separation, and I realized she has had to manage grief. She has had to manage anger. She has had to manage guilt, and well, not guilt, but and she has also had to she's doing her version of bargaining, and it's quite different from mine. And I need to provide grace for that. I need to provide space for her to do it her way and me to do it my way.
Absolutely. And the way we get stuck in bargaining is if we've been either passive or aggressive. Remember, the aim is assertive, effective bargaining. Okay. In all the 7 stepping stones, we get stuck if either we're standing on more than one at a time, or we stay on one too long, because we're supposed to stay in motion.
Yes, okay? It's supposed to be energy and motion. Well, I think even this little bit is really, it's number one, it's impactful for me. It's helpful for me. But I think this is a lot for listeners to absorb. But this is such a really meaningful demonstration of how we can shift and grow through grief and through loss and through shock and all of these different systems that we have to experience. And I would like if you could just sum up this session in a few sentences, and just let me rest on this part. I'm not going to stay stuck, because I'm actually going to go play pickleball. And when I move, that really helps me process emotions as well. So how would you like, say a few things to our listeners to really sort of conclude this now, can you?
I mean, at the heart of emotional logic is we are social beings. And this is what they're proving, in all the psychology research, all the brain development. We are hardwired for love and connection. And what emotional logic does in a practical, clear, but incredibly nurturing way, it improves our relationship with ourselves, and therefore our relationship with others. And in that, bargaining is key. And I loved what you said about realizing it wasn't just the bargaining that's going inside of you, but also how you're going to bargain with your daughter. And if we can stay, I'm okay, you're okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have far less grief in our lives, full stop.
Yeah.
We're going to cause less grief to ourselves, and we're going to cause less grief to others. So you've actually immediately jumped onto acceptance. And that's a whole other story for a whole other time. And a key part of acceptance is moving on with sadness.
Yes. Yeah.
We can't always, well, we can't get rid of grief. It's part of life.
No.
It just absolutely is. It's not reaching this perfect destination where we don't have any problems, we don't have any challenges, we don't have any pain.
Right.
But you will more quickly, by practicing emotional logic, you more quickly move through these, and in a clearer way, and in a nurturing way, and in a kinder way to yourself and to others. Whatever.
Such a lovely philosophy, such a lovely practice, such a lovely experience of the understanding that we have now of how emotions and our thinking and our behavior and our feelings all kind of come into alignment when we use a system like this. I can see the benefits of going through the process, because it will get me to alignment faster. And I'm always I'm one of these people who's always looking for not necessarily the shortcut, because I found that bites me, but who is really looking for a harmonious resolution that takes into effect all of the moving parts.
Absolutely. That's a very good summing up of emotional logic. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for your expertise. Please tell our listeners how they can find you, and tell them a little bit about your book, but mostly where can they find you in case they would like to engage in this sort of practice?
I'm very easy to find because my surname is very unusual. It's Sarah with an H. My first name is Sarah with an H, and it's Kobrus, Kobrus with a K. And I am Sarah Kobrus Coaching. There's a lovely story behind my surname, that I'd been living in the Middle East for 12 years when somebody, a Palestinian living in Amman, Jordan, asked me how come I had an Arabic name. And I looked at him and I was like, it's Polish. And he said, no, it's Arabic. It's Arabic for Cyprus.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm Sarah Kobrus Coaching. Easy to find. I have a website, and all the information is there, including about my book.
And I will put links in. There will be little mini show notes that go out with this, because it's a mini podcast. It's going to go out very stripped, and because I want to publish it quickly. And I just will attach all the notes so that you can find Sarah on the internet. And also, I would like to give you a heads up that Sarah is our featured guest on the 12th of December, and her formal podcast interview will be released then. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, entirely. Yeah.
And thank you, listeners. Have a wonderful day. This is Doreen signing off for Nomadic Diaries. Please like, follow, and subscribe.